I would like to introduce and invite to the stage Carl Lindholm, who will introduce Fred Beams.
Thank you, Aaron. Fred Beams and I overlapped for 3 years at Middlebury, so I watched him play football and lacrosse. And that's just what he did. He played sports. He played with such exuberance, such enthusiasm for the game. And if his lifelong friends are to be believed, he has lived since Middlebury with the same zest for life. As one put it, Fred brings to any community a daily morale lift. I was watching a Middlebury football game this fall with Tom Clark, class of 1966, quarterback of the Middlebury team in Fred's senior year. Middlebury threw the ball in this game against Wesleyan 56 times. Tom said to me, "We didn't pass 56 times in a season. I just handed the ball to Beams. I don't know how he survived." Another teammate, Bob Royer, 65, recalled, "We had 3 plays, Beams to the right, Beams to the left, quick kick." If Middlebury did quick kick, a favorite play of Coach Duke Nelson's, it was Fred kicking the ball. He was the punter, the place kicker, the return man on punts and kickoffs. In football, Fred was fast, shifty, and strong. He was all that in lacrosse too, and more. An All-American in his senior year, he was selected to play in the North-South Senior Lacrosse All-Star Game in Baltimore. He won the opening face-off in that game, dashed down the field, unleashed his wicked underhand shot, and scored 3 seconds into the game. Any discussion of Fred Beams in lacrosse quickly returns to his devastating underhand shot, which he developed and refined in high school. He invented it, modifying a golf swing and hockey slap shot. Stories abound. His teammate, John Berger, 67, wrote, "His greatest plays were the face-offs when he would flip the ball over the opponent's stick, scoop it up, rock it down the field, and score on a blast from his shoe tops that exploded at the net. He was simply out of this world." Another teammate, Drew Otaka, told this story. "In one game, I saw Fred was winding up for a shot, so I went to the goal for a possible rebound. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground. Dick Waterman, the trainer, rolled me over and asked me what day it was. I asked him what happened, and he laughed and told me Freddie had hit me in the head. The next day at practice, I got heckled pretty bad, and someone painted a bullseye on the back of my helmet that I wore to practice that day. Trust me, I have many more testimonials to Fred's great athletic skills, and also to his kind, loving, funny, and passionate nature, as his friend and colleague Will Graham, 76, put it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fred Beams.
I know you were hoping I'd pull out reams of paper to say something witty and nice. I'd like to thank Carl for his kind words. His favorite reader when I was in school was my mother. She'd get the Middlebury paper and thought it was a copy from the New York Times, and he was a New York Times sports editor. I never changed that. I'm flattered and honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. When I see the list, I wonder why I'm here. When I see someone like Dates on the list, when I arrived at Middlebury as a freshman, Dates was coming off of a terrific team from the year before, but boy, can that guy skate and dance. I just watch and see him in this rink go around that far corner, skates on the boards as he goes around a defenseman, tucks the puck back in, and puts it into the net. So I'm flattered, and when I go up to the Hall of Fame and I see other people, it's a real honor, because I think of them when I was a student here. My year when I showed up as a freshman, Duke and, how about Jesus, Freddie, we took too many kids in this year. You can't play on the varsity. Freshmen aren't eligible. So they said, we'll have freshman teams, and we said, that's terrific. So we went off on a freshman team. I look at the bench out there today. Our bench wasn't quite that long back then. In fact, on the freshman team, we'd have scrimmages where half the team was on offense and half on the defense. And the success, I think, for me during those years was a number of people who stuck with it and just loved playing sports. I wouldn't be a star if you didn't have some players on the field with you. And we had one game, we were in football, again, this was freshman year, we were short a player, so we got the manager to suit up so we could run some of the plays. I don't think Ritter had that problem today. There are a couple players that are not here, they've moved on, that really I miss and were terrific. One was the goalie, Bayard Russ, who came out his junior year. He was a soccer goalie. He and I would go out before practice, and it's one of the things I just love about Middlebury. We wanted to get to practice before practice so we could practice, have fun. And he was the goalie, so every day we'd warm up a little bit, about 3 shots on the goal. I'd twiddle my stick, and then we go head to head, 10 shots, boom, boom, boom. If I got more than 5, I won. He got less, he got more than 5, he won. And so it was a great contest which honed my skills. The other person is my roommate and co-captain my senior year, Jeff DeMung. He was my end, who I could kind of run around and football around that side, and I just kind of looked at him, and he'd go one way and take someone down, and I'd go the other way. And the other great thing is, back, Summit was not a hotbed that it is today of lacrosse where I grew up. There were 4 people in the town that played lacrosse. So when I got up and had Jeff, who was from Syracuse, that did have lacrosse, he was a defenseman, so I knew when he got the ball, I'd get a pass, and I just liked to score. I'd take that ball and just go. It was a fun time. But as I left Middlebury, I stayed very attached to it, and I think of those times I coached, and I think I sent about 5 or 6 players from St. Paul's, Holderness, Groton, who ended up being captains of Middlebury. And I've always marveled at the way when you run into a Middlebury player, they just, as was described earlier, loved to play the game, played it hard, played it well, laughed and enjoyed it. The people, though, that aren't always heroes are your coaches. And once again, I was blessed. I showed up at Loomis. I was so excited about track season. Whoever heard of a thing called lacrosse? And slowly, the coach there, I think, nudged some of the football players. I played football there, to introduce me to lacrosse. And I ended up picking up a stick, and I just loved holding that stick. And my coach, Jim Wilson, he was the kindest, nicest person. He'd take me skiing in the winter, and as he let me out the car to go skiing, I didn't know how to ski. In fact, I see Gordy and I laughed because Bobo, who's out there, gave me a pair of 210 heads to ski on out at the bowl, and all the ski team would just shoot snow in my face as I lie there. But Jim took me skiing. He said, just try not to break your leg, just hang in there. And he mentored me all through there. And in fact, when I left Middlebury, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. because of the way he acted and the way he treated people, and he was my model. So I went on for 45 years of teaching, which I loved, and coaching. Just so you know that I'm not quite away from sports, I enjoy now watching Nathan, who was coached by another Hall of Famer, Jeff Thompson, my son. He was his coach up at UVM, so the Middlebury connection keeps coming through. And today my daughter was thrilled to show me her picture out in the hockey rink on one of the winning teams that she played on for a year. But now I have a new team, and I look back at Carl and his expertise in teaching about baseball, and he's instilled it into my daughter, who has instilled it into my grandchildren. And now I have a T-ball team down in Central Park, and if anyone's in New York City and you're going through Central Park, I need some players on my team. I lost to a 5, 4, and 2-year-old 13-2 the other day, but I had some great spectators, and I hope to make a comeback next year. Thank you.